All right, welcome back in, Gear Nerds. We got Fireball, Snack Box, and Huck coming at you with another EP of GEARHAULICS. Tonight, we're kind of keeping it loosey-goosey, and we're going to be doing sort of like a round table. This is kind of like the third audible that we were just talking about in the green room here of like, what were we actually going to throw together today? And we actually decided on doing a roundtable discussion, kind of looking over what the PCTers of last year's class kind of went through, and what was good, what wasn't. They have this one site that Huck's going to bring up that we're going to break down, and we're going to give our thoughts on that from a bunch of people. Probably like Jared's like the only one who's actually qualified as like a legit through hiker to talk on a lot of this stuff. But Huck and I will throw in our 2 cents as well because we live pretty close to the PCT and we've done some sections ourselves. So that's a little intro there. Huck's going to be doing a lot of the driving on this one. So Huck, if you want to share your screen, we can break it down, see what the 2023 PCT class had kind of brought, and then we'll give our thoughts on it.
Yeah. So the first thing here is the most common backpacks that were used in 2023 on the PCT. And you can see there, number one, the ULA Circuit. And just goes down the list. A Hyperlight, Mountain Gear Southwest, then a Gossamer Gear Mariposa are the top 3 backpacks. So we're surprised by number 3 on the list.
Yeah, they recently just released sort of like a re-release of that same pack as well. I'm actually looking to sell mine now because I found it pretty uncomfortable when I had like 30 plus pounds in it. So I do have a Mariposa myself, and it was the last model of it, and it was kind of cutting in and digging in on my shoulders. But I'm a fan of Gossamer gear, but like as I use it more, I'm kind of like picking it apart a little bit more and more and kind of finding things that I'm not like super thrilled about. But yeah, I'm a little bit surprised on that one. What are some of the omissions here? Well, the arc haul's all the way down at number 8. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that number 6 is interesting because Atom Packs, they make all their bags custom, and they are, like an 8 to 12 week lead time, and they're not inexpensive. They make them overseas, I think in the UK, and they run just, like 350 euros or whatever that is, which works out to a little bit more than that in American, I think. But the amount of work to go through to get that, I'm surprised folks aren't buying something that you can get at sort of big box retailer, right?
Yeah, like the REI Flash 55 or something like that. Like, what are the big box ones here? Is there one? I don't see one.
Osprey.
Yeah.
So Osprey's number 4 and 10, and that's basically the same pack, but it's the woman's and the men's. The Exos is the men's, the Asia is the woman's.
And that's really the first of the framed ones too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the circuit does have a frame.
Oh, does the circuit? Yeah.
Yeah. And sort of the Catalyst. I've got the Catalyst. It's a heavy hauler.
People love those ULAs on the longer hikes for sure. Which again is
down at 5.
Yeah, that one is just it's a cost one, right? They're just so expensive.
Like a $400 pack.
Yeah.
Same thing with Z packs. Yeah. Well, ULA is not cheap either.
No. Mine's all, my Catalyst is all custom out. Custom
hyperlighted too,
X-Pack and everything.
Yeah, I think we just figured out why Gossamer gear is so high though, because that one is a pretty reasonably priced bag, right? It's like in the mid 200s, mid to low 200s.
Yeah, you can frequently find them on sale too, like 15-20% off. So
okay.
And they make good stuff. I mean, their backpacks particularly, I've heard good things about. But like to your point, Dave, I've heard that they're not perfect for sure.
Yeah, and then you see the Durston gear one. The cult following is now bleeding over into the packs. It seems like too. Kind of surprised because it's still pretty new as of last year. That pack that it's even made the list. First of all, and second of all, that it's that high.
Well, if you look down there, kind of preview and jumping ahead just a tiny bit, you look at 2 and 3 there. It's clear that people are thinking about Durston stuff. So I mean, it makes sense that they would be making their big purchases together and scooping the is it Kakwa?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can move
down. That's a good segue. You want to jump into the tents.
Yeah. So there's your most common PCT shelters in No surprise with the duplex number 1. That's like the old standard on the PCT.
Yeah, but the other thing too is that they didn't start doing all like their light stuff, and our buddy
You're right.
Matt's got the what is it, the
Offset.
Plex
The offset.
1P, all the offset stuff, like all that's still pretty new, I would say. So probably like for most of 2023, I'm not super surprised by that, except for maybe like Plex. So like if I was doing it through high, I'd probably do more of like the solo rather than the duplex.
There it is,
to save a little bit
number
more.
7.
Yeah, it's down at 7. But I wouldn't be surprised if more of that like offset stuff is going to be more popular this year and duplex starts going down.
I am surprised though, not on the list, and it used to be one of the more popular tints. Is my all-time favorite, the Lunar Solo.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
6 minutes.
I've
didn't make the list.
Yeah, there was a time where we did a camp out at Little Jimmy Camp, which is on the PCT, and there was quite a bit of Lunar Solos in there. But as DCF has became more popular, and something like the Plex Solo is 10 ounces lighter or something, or 6 ounces, 8 ounces, whatever it is, people are going to go with that.
Yeah, for sure. Those are, I mean, it is a surprise not to see anything by, anything there by Six Moon, but also, not like there's no generic out there either. Like there's no like sort of offshoots of the Lanshan or those types, which I'm a little surprised by that, but I guess not for a through hiker of something of this distance. I am surprised to see sort of the balance between freestanding tents and trekking pole tents is pretty well 50-50 here. That's for through hikers. I think that's surprising to me.
Yeah. And number 9 surprises me as well. The triplex.
Could be like,
I guess
doubles,
there's
couples.
Yeah, because the duplex is not really big enough for 2 full-size adults.
Right, unless you're doing like 2 of the 20-inch wide pads. I'm gonna agree with Jared there too, and say that like nothing really more budget friendly on the list. Seems like this is one of the few categories where if they're going on through hikes, they're going to be like dropping money on, which is going to be the shelter here. But you got Gossamer gear in there again, Jared. I know you got strong feelings on the one.
Yeah, it was a sort of, I mean, a tent that I had a lot of hope in, right? I remember seeing somebody in a park setting up a Gossamer Gear the 2 when I lived in Atlanta, and I thought that it might have been the perfect tent. And really, if you can find a way to get lots and lots of ventilation, I think it could be. But I really struggled to find a way not to wake up with a lot of condensation. Even when I had good ventilation or I was in a dry area. So I'll still keep tinkering with that one. But, it's tough with any of those single wall tents to keep the condensation low. But that one, for some reason, really drew it in.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because you were one of the main reasons why I picked one up, and I'm actually falling in love with more of that dual pole design. Again, I don't know if I would do it if I was going to be doing a through hike, just for like backup sake and everything too. Like if you're carrying 2 poles and one breaks in a section, then you have a backup that you can still pitch it with. But I do like the dual pole design, but I agree with you. Condensation is a big issue, mostly with the design of that tent. But, again, with the dual pole, I don't know how much I would trust it in like high winds or anything else like that either. Like for me, my bomb proof is always going to be like that 1 pole design. And then more of the comfort trips, I'm probably going to go with more of like the 2 pole design.
Yeah. What was that? How about let's talk about some quilts?
Yeah, big surprises here.
Yeah. No surprise, number 1, number 2.
Right.
What about number 3 though? Because Catabatic's pretty expensive, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, and it's special order. Well, let's before we jump off of the Enlightened equipment, here's what is surprising about that number, by the way, is you have to imagine how huge the lead is right now, because those 2 are effectively the same, right? So the Enigma and Revelation is whether or not they have the foot box or if they have the fasteners that sort of tighten it up so you can unroll it like a classic quilt. But that means they sold so much that they could place 2 separate products in 1 and 2, where they're not pulling from, like, if you remember the like Z-Packs, right? When one of the Z-Packs tents gets more popular, that's often pulling from the duplex or whatever.
Right.
This one, they're both crushing it. And it's crazy having them 1 and 2 right there.
Is
Yeah.
the Enigma also like an open? I know the Revelation because I have like a warmer quilt with the Revelation. It's an open foot box. But is it the same with the Enigma, or is that a closed foot box?
That's a closed foot box. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a
And that's
yeah,
that
I don't
is
know.
the difference, by the way. That's what like
Yeah.
differentiates now. Yeah.
Yeah, the name kind of denotes it there. Yeah, I don't
A
know. I
little
guess
bit
I'm a
with that.
little bit
Yeah.
surprised with like the open drawstring design of like the Revelation. I would think most people
Mhm.
would opt for like the closed foot box there, keep it a little bit warmer. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a little surprising.
And after
And
having
that,
two different quilts, one with a open foot box and one with sewn, I prefer the sewn now. I'm never
yeah.
really pulling my feet out. It's, I don't know.
Yeah. They're pretty nice like that.
Yeah.
How
I
about
do
number
like the,
4?
yeah, I mean I was thinking number
There's
4
your-
actually, and number 4, number 8, I think were interesting. Sorry, Huck, I think I cut you off
Oh yeah,
there.
no, that's
The
all good.
so the REI Magma is like their sort of high end down quilt, right? And so
I
that
think
makes
it's only
sense that it's like
800.
yeah, so you can go in and you can feel it. And so for a lot of people who are interested in having like the REI, like the sort of value deal, makes a lot of sense, especially if you want to see and touch it before you get it. And I feel like that's what's happening with Sea to Summit, but perhaps with people who are flying in to do the trail, right? So that's the one that strikes me as being like that. And the Atom, those ones that are coming from abroad, might be like international hikers. That's what it seems like is possible there. I'd love to see like a cross section of that.
Yeah.
And then my favorite, number 6 there, they use their full name, Underground Quilts or UGQ, kind of getting pushed down a little bit there. I would have thought for sure they'd still be 1 and 2, but they've kind of fallen off the radar a little bit lately.
And Hammock Gear is just like the old standard first quilt everybody heard of.
Yep.
And that's a good buy right there. That one you can get pretty cheap.
Yeah,
I think
that's not the case with 7.
No.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What's the
Easily the
first?
most expensive.
Is the Spark at number 8 the first bag on the list? Is it mostly quilts?
Let's see.
I don't know if the Magma's a quilt, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think that's the first bag.
Spark is a bag. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get
super high-end, expensive one.
Actually, the Versalite might be. Is that a quilt or a bag? Versalite's also a bag.
Yeah. I think the Spark is actually relatively I think that's pretty well on point with the like maybe an Enlightened Equipment. I had a Sea to Summit quilt or a sleeping bag that I loved for the longest time. Really innovative. It had this thing in it. I know it's not on the list, but had this thing in it that when you zipped it up,
friends.
yeah, no, it was the Sea to Summit, and it would never. It was the Trek 2, and it had a thing where your zipper never caught the fabric because they put this tiny piece of like
nice.
It wasn't plastic or something, but it just kept that sort of the fabric out of your zipper. It was the most incredible design. I don't know why it ever sold, right? Yeah, it's the best.
It's a cool feature for sure.
And there's only one surprising one on here to me, and I see it a lot. There's a lot of people are going, and maybe it's just the weight or the price. Is that Zenbivy? Maybe that new Zenbivy Ultralight might be something that shows up 2024.
Yes,
might show up
I think so. I just did a cast not too long on that one, but they're still too new. They had their system out, but it was way too heavy for through hikers. Probably last year, they just launched their ultralight system, like their lot lighter system, like pretty much this year, like earlier this year. So it's gaining a lot of steam right now. I was going to mention it in that next section with the sleeping pads too, but I wouldn't be surprised if like the whole system there with the quilt and the pad are going to be more popular.
Here, let's move right on down. We got the most common.
Yeah, come on. Let's just get it right out of the way here. I'm not a fan of the Thermarest here. I know it's still preferred for the whole 1 per weight ratio and everything. Yeah, I mean they're still kind of on top, but I don't know. It's just here's the thing too. I think a lot of like through hikers, like dedicated through hikers, can just sleep on the ground. I think a lot of them can just bring like that thin, like 1/8 inch pad. There it is.
That's why they bring the number 6.
Number 6. Yep. I think a lot of them can just sleep whenever, because when you're hiking that much, you're just going to knock out on whatever you're on, right? So I guess I'm not surprised, but at the same time, like it's just not a comfortable design. I know Huck likes it, but
Oh yeah,
just not
it's a
comfortable
king.
for me.
I own number 1 and number 4. Well, actually, I don't own the NXT version of Xtherm, but a cold night, nothing beats that Xtherm, and I'm really enjoying the X-Lite NXT. Those baffles work for me. I'm a side sleeper. I sleep on my back sometimes. More, I should say, I toss and turn throughout the night.
You don't think
No
they're
matter if I'm
loud though? They don't wake you up?
No. This one's even. Actually, the one that's the loudest that I've had might have been a Climate. I remember going out with friends the first time, and that thing was so loud that we were parked next to the car, and I just went and slept in the car because I thought I was waking everybody up. And everybody's like, "No, I didn't hear you once," but it was loud.
Yeah, that Climate one, I tried a couple of those and I couldn't get the air to ever stay in, so
Yeah,
I ended up pivoting a little bit.
but no, I don't feel like they're that loud. Maybe I'm just used to it.
Yeah, so this is an interesting list. Thermarest and Nemo are just kind of killing it on here. I'm trying to think of other ones. We just talked about the Zen Baby. I think that's going to start kicking up in popularity. They got a 4.8 pad that's similar to the Sea to Summit. What is it? The quilted kind of baffling design. I've kind of fallen out of grace with the Nemo Tensor lately. The older version. They also have a newer version, which isn't probably reflected in this list either. They just released a new, flurry of pads with higher R values.
Right.
So wouldn't be surprised if they continue to be popular here.
And the only one on here for Big Agnes is Repeat, and they just came out with that Zoom.
Discontinued.
That got replaced by the Zoom UL, which is similar to the Axle Air pads they had, which I was warming, but the majority of the backpacking community said they slept cold on, and they were
I tell you, the X-Bed's going to get in there too. That one I think that one's starting to make some traction. I've got one of those. It's super comfortable.
Kind of surprised they're not in here either, because they're pretty. I mean, their prices are excellent, and they're pretty lightweight too for the R values.
Yeah, they've got a good variety of R values too, so you can get them anywhere. I think up to 7. Yeah, they're pretty decent, but really easy to inflate. And because they have the vertical baffles, they're super easy to roll up and deflate.
Yeah.
I just could never sleep on the vertical baffles.
Well, you're busy sleeping on a bag of potato chips, so I don't know.
You're busy on the horizontal.
I'm waking everybody else up, but I'm sleeping.
Now I'm trying to think of, is there any other omissions here? I think that's a pretty good summary.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a little surprised there's not like a Climate on there, because that one would have been the least expensive for sure.
Yeah,
we're not seeing a lot of budget-friendly options on this list so far.
No,
the only budget one's the Z-Lite, which I tried to sleep on a few times. But then again, I slept on that too. So
I think
it doesn't matter what sleeping pad I sleep.
Yeah, I think the Z-Lite makes its way on here specifically because a lot of folks will use them in conjunction with one of these to prevent the sort, especially the first 700 miles through the Mojave. There's a lot of sharp stuff out there.
Yeah, and maybe they'll start seeing more of like that pad that Dave used.
Yeah,
the Outdoor Vitals one, or the who else makes it? Gossamer Gear. They both make that little real thin pad.
Yep, the 1/8-inch foam pad. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coming down. Well, we get to some insulation here.
Now, I got to tell you, I know nothing about these.
Well, let's see.
I bought my last puffy at Costco, and it's worked fine for me.
Yeah. I do have a Ghost Whisperer.
Yep, same. I kind of fell for that one too. I'm a little bit surprised. It's cool to see the Decathlon on here. That's definitely more budget friendly. I'd like to see that move up a little bit, just because, what is it? It's only like 2 ounces heavier or something, I think, than the Ghost Whisperer. They have a higher fill power Ghost Whisperer that's even lighter by maybe like another ounce or so. But
number 6, the UL.
There you go. But it's crazy expensive. I mean, I think you're getting up over $400 or something at that point. So it's nuts. And then you got the Patagucci, the Nano Puff at number 5. That's super expensive too. Good to see Decathlon.
I'm surprised not to see like that. There's a North Face jacket that seems to be pretty popular there. That's one of those like micro ball or something.
Yeah, they packed on really small.
Yeah. But,
Or
yeah,
like
that
REI
Ghost
would be
Whisper.
good in here too.
Yeah.
Their budget.
I know with my Ghost Whisper, I've had it for 5 years now. I was about to upgrade it, then I just found a patch that sort of just matched the rest of the jacket. So
Yeah.
it's still going.
Yeah. I don't know. I really like the Torrid in here too. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's synthetic feel too.
Yeah.
I would probably prefer that if I was going on a longer trek, just to be able to be more consistent with trapping in that heat, especially if you got a little wet or damp out.
And that's been
So I'd
rising
probably
too.
end up going for that. Yeah.
That's just been rising up the list.
It's popular. I'm surprised more people aren't like copying that type of insulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think they're still new to the jacket game though, right?
Right.
Relatively,
The
yeah.
past few years,
Yeah. They'll get up.
Columbia makes a jacket similar to the Torrid. Uses
Okay, yeah.
similar. It's like that Apex insulation, but
Yeah.
it's just not well known.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for being where it is, it's doing well compared to some old favorites, right?
Yeah. And I, like you guys said, I'm surprised there's no REI jacket in there.
Yeah, they make good stuff too, you know. I mean, if you're buying the Magma, the quilt there, it surprises me that there's not something from there on here.
There was another one I heard about. I think it was like from Uniqlo. I think it might have been Justin who was talking about it. He kind of gets into jackets a little bit more.
Yeah.
But they're all right around the same. It's really just like a price point and kind of like warmth at that point. They're all right around like that 10 to 12 ounce mark. So maybe it's just a little bit heavier. I think a lot of people are just like, oh yeah, 8 ounces for a puffy. Let me try to shoot for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. But, yeah. Last little section here is this shells and
I love that. I love that we've just been talking about how people are dropping a lot of cash on like stuff, and the one thing that couldn't matter more while you're actually hiking, staying dry, and people are going for the frog togs at $20 a set.
Yeah, and it rips like the first time you use it.
Yeah, I have found I used to love them, but the last few I've gotten, they've been, because I'm short, right? And I'm not skinny, so I wear like an XL or a large or whatever it is, but basically it fits around my waist, but then the crotch seam goes halfway down my leg. So anytime I bend over to like on one knee, it just splits right down the center. But the jacket, what I found, oh, go ahead.
I've had the same problem with their rain pants.
Yeah,
I was out fishing with them once, and I just bent over, and that crotch just went right down.
I will say though, the jacket is, I would take the jacket through like a hurricane. That thing is, so what I'll sometimes do if I tear my jacket, because they do tear easy, but normally they'll last a full like month or two on trail. I'll buy that and just throw away the pants and roll with the jacket. And it does pack down crazy small, or it doesn't pack down small, but it's super light.
Yeah.
So you put it just about anywhere.
There.
Yeah, that's the extreme. That's the extreme there at the bottom.
I was gonna say like
number 9,
because they're saying like the UL option there, but I thought that this was it because this one's a little bit lighter. I don't think I've ever used it.
No, it's just Dave. That's just the name for it.
Okay.
It's the Frog Togs Ultralight, but they're not saying that it's like the lightest on the line. There's actually I think there's some middle ground.
Definitely the cheapest
like
one.
Yeah, I think the Ultralight you can even get like at Walmart if I remember right.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
But you can't get the Extreme Light. Those are actually pretty hard to find. Like this time of year, you can't hardly find them anywhere.
I got 2 thoughts in this category here. First, they might be lesser known. Maybe that's why they're not on this list yet. But Outdoor Vitals makes some pretty good, just clothing in general. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that their rain gear would hold up pretty well in this section. The second thing that I have to say here is we got to get the poncho game going, guys. Like, come on. I know it's not as quick, it's not as like easy through brush and everything, but you're not going to get more breathability and rain protection than what a poncho can provide. And I know Z-Pack sells one too. They got their Virtus there at number 8, but they also have a poncho option. We got to get that poncho game.
Yeah.
I took a my only the cape is awesome. That one turns into full on tent from 6 Moon.
Weight savings. There you go.
Yeah. But they make the ponchos now with the little like guy out corners. So I took that one year. I did
Mhm.
200 miles on the CT, sleeping under that poncho tarp, and it's that's an experience, man. That is, it was pretty wild. But the thing is, I have a hard time because I have these awkward gator arms. Trying to throw it over my pack, I can never get my pack under it as well. So I end up with like fronts covered and then this like ponytail of poncho hanging over the front of my shoulder. Look like Rapunzel out there.
Interesting.
There's one jacket I don't see on here, and maybe it's just not talked about enough anymore. Is the anti-gravity gear.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've got a pair of their
Never heard of
pants, which are great. Dixie used to be a big supporter of them. I don't know if she still is or not. But let's see. Can I share this tab? Let's see what this weighs in at.
Oh yeah,
between 7.3 8.6. Has pit zips.
Pretty nice.
Yeah. And
yeah,
you only got two colors though, black and orange, but with pit zips for 7-something ounces.
Yeah, it's pretty
nice.
good. I'm also surprised too, as you're bringing the list back up here. I'm not seeing anything from Rab on here either.
Yeah,
that might be more. I think they're more popular in like UK or like in Europe, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So they're probably still not as well known over here. There's a lot of like brands over there too that are probably more popular. Just didn't make the list here.
Yeah, and Rab could have also been up here in the insulated jackets as well.
Yeah, there's just the one on the bottom.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Number 10. Number 10.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make a lot of stuff. They're like super high-end too, though. Really expensive stuff. All right. Any other categories we want to look into here? Worth mentioning?
All they have here on Halfway Anywhere on their survey from 2023.
Yeah, that's
Let's
pretty
go
cool.
back up to the stats real quick. I don't know if there's anything we want to say
right here.
about the stats, the average stats. There you go.
So, yeah, you've got the pre-hike base weight right here at 18.3, and then the post-hike base weight. They're on average they're losing about 2 pounds by the time they're done.
Well, that's what. So I think they might have done their math wrong on the next one because.
Yeah, there's
1.6
change. Yeah, that's got to be 2.
Either that or maybe they did a typo on one of the others.
Yeah, maybe.
It'd be pack size of 54, almost 55 liters. That's kind of shocking.
Yeah,
that'd be a little bit lower, closer to 40, 45.
Yeah.
And through hikers, average sleeping bag rating. That's about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Average number of shoes used 5.
4.8. Yeah. I think.
Jared, did you see any like swelling in your feet on the CT? Did you get any of that, or you just didn't go far enough?
Yeah, no, I mean, I had the I've had some foot issues on the trail, but the I have sort of wide but short feet, so I have to buy a 12 anyway. So they kind of stretch out. So I know a lot of people who have, and the one year I went with 11 and a half, they certainly gave me enough trouble. I had to buy a different pair.
Yeah, definitely really important.
I would like to see.
Here you go. I found one other thing to share with you guys.
Go for it.
Come back and share this. I found the most common PCT shoes.
Uh-oh. They're Crocs. That's going to be what's up.
Where'd you find it? Was it on this list or somewhere else?
There's a little link off that website. So let's no surprise. Number 1.
Ooh, still holding on.
And number 3. Oh, I'm just breaking in
the Olympus. I'm a little surprised by the Olympus just because the stack height's like ridiculous, but
yeah.
The Hoka 1.1, okay. I wouldn't be surprised if Topo starts getting a little bit higher. But not surprising. Ultra, Hoka, and Topos.
But then when it comes to the highest rated, the Lone Peak is no longer there, but Merrill Moab is the highest rated one.
That is something right there. That there are 2 ultras in the top 5 for frequently used, but the highest rated they're not present.
Yeah,
because they think they're comfortable, but they just don't last.
Yeah, who are these Topo Company? I haven't heard of them, but I'm gonna have to pick up a pair of those.
Really? I can never tell
I
if you're
mean,
joking or not. You haven't heard of Topos
no,
yet? Okay.
no, I haven't. I know
Yeah,
that
like
I've
some of
tried
them have.
Brooks and they just don't fit my feet, but they seem like great shoes too.
Yeah. I used to
I
do a
don't know
lot
much
with New
about Topos
Balance.
either. New Balance. Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
All
a
I've heard
wider
is that
shoe, and
like
I got fat feet.
Yeah, I've been working with when I do the bigger hikes in the summer the last few years. I've just been picking up a pair of the like Asics, just one of their trail runners, and those have been really good for shorter trips. Certainly burn through them, but they have good traction, real light, like $65. They're pretty good.
Oh, here's one more for us. Let's bring it back up.
Uh-oh.
The most common PCT
full of
fleeces.
surprises. Okay, yeah, got a good mid
Look
layer
at
there.
that. Yeah,
What?
yeah. The
Senshi gang.
Cinchi's number one,
Senshi
and then
gang.
Melly's
Wow.
number two.
I tell you
Kinda
what,
shocked.
I'm surprised Cinchi came as number one.
Yeah. I
I
only
was
really
actually
heard about them last year. So I don't know how long they've been around, but I haven't heard about them until
I was
then.
actually expecting Patagonia to be number one.
yeah, same.
I'm also
same.
surprised that was it Fairpoint? I think Fairpoint has like an alpha hoodie
Mhm.
too. That's not on here.
But then you come down to the higher rated fleeces, and no surprise, I know a few people that have them now, the Lightheart Gear, and they're sort of a knockoff of the Melly, but a little bit more roomy. Like the Melly's more of an athletic fit, and these are a little bit more roomy.
Gotcha.
And Senchi's
I
right
will
there,
say that
number
the
3.
Senshi, maybe the 90, yeah, the 90 is probably, yeah, it's a heavier weight one, but like I think I have like the 60, the Ren. Is that on here?
Mhm.
They just have the alpha rating
Yeah.
on here. They don't have the name of it.
Yeah.
But the Ren is not
Oh, there it is.
super durable.
The Alpha 60 is formerly known as the Ren.
Okay, so that's the 60, right? Yeah. So I'm not surprised the 90. Yeah, 90 is a little bit warmer and probably a little bit more durable. The Ren is not durable. And I'm pretty light on my gear, but I just trying to like put it on like over your base layer, I've heard some stitches pop and rip already. So it's not the most durable of materials at the 60 weight anyway.
Let's see. They've actually got a few more on here. You got stoves, water treatment, bear canisters.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that either.
Yeah. Let's I can go back down to this. This is actually pretty interesting. Here's a little stat on the stoves. So 73.1% carried a stove, and then 10% were stoveless the entire hike.
That's a sort of a surprise that that number. I wonder. So do you think
it'd be higher?
Well, so if it's carried at the entire hike, that means people either started stoveless and gave up on it, or they started with a stove and tried stoveless. And I'd be curious to see what's more.
There's
common.
a 9% for that.
There you go.
9% started with a stove and then went stoveless.
Goodness, that's interesting there.
And then only 2.7% started with stoveless and then went into getting a stove.
Well, something the math doesn't add up somewhere there.
Yeah.
Unless they, I wonder, I mean, I'd like to know if they switched to stoveless. I'd like to know the number on if they ever switched back. It says alternated multiple times.
Oh, alternate, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be for the sections, maybe. I don't know.
And then right down here's your most common.
That BRS, man.
Top. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a little bit surprised with the maybe like for certain sections. I just feel like it wouldn't work that well.
Yeah.
In certain sections.
It is pretty inefficient. I mean, it takes a long time for it to work.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you that.
that Joshua tree.
Oh my god! I was just gonna say that. I just went on a trip with Huck and Matt, and I wasted. It was literally like 4 cups of water with Huck's BRS. I borrowed his BRS, and it was like 40 grams of fuel. I used like almost half of the canister for like 4 cups of water in wind. It was ridiculous.
I'll tell you. Here's the thing, though. Is it's that little burner, and if you look at that Pocket Rocket Deluxe, I scooped one of those in one of the garage sales once, and that bad boy cooks, and it cooks so quickly because it's so big on the little cups. But that Pocket Rocket too, that's the old regular Pocket Rocket, the redesign. And that thing is, I mean, just standard bulletproof. It's just, that's the one. If I were just starting out, that's the one you get, because you don't ever have to upgrade. You can, but you don't ever have to.
Yeah. It's a lot of it's based off of like, the Windmaster.
Yeah, the Windmaster's a good one too.
Yeah, like so they have like, Civic and Accord versions, right? So the Pocket Rocket 2 there is sort of like the Civic version. Then they have the Pocket Rocket Deluxe, and it's based off of like the BT. It doesn't have the piezo either on the number 1 versus the number 4, but it's based off of how much heat it throws out. But you're also investing in the regulator too. So we're talking about like when you're going at elevation and things like that, you want it to produce the same amount of heat all the way down to like the last drop of fuel, which is what those do and what the BRS doesn't.
Yeah. And then going back
so
to
a little surprised the Amicus wasn't on there.
Amicus is one of the higher rated ones, and the Gigapower somehow, using that which, and then you still got a Jetboil in the top 5, and I love taking a Jetboil like just for ease of use, but like if I was not when I'm doing a big trail, not at all.
Let's go to the pots.
The Mini I think is going better. Yeah, I think the Mini is easier for those bigger trips.
I don't think they had pots. They had bear casters, water treatment, which should be Sawyer number 1.
Yeah, Sawyer and the Be Free
added in the Platypus too.
I'm loving the Platypus lately, but
nice. No surprises there.
Yeah. No. And then you go down, you got the
Minis on there. I mean, I like the Mini, and it's a little bit lighter, but the flow rate's
horrible. Surprising. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little surprising.
There's no micro. Imagine that. No micro.
Well, so here's what's frustrating is back when they first started, the Sawyer Squeeze was $19. The Mini was $29. And then when they found out that hikers wanted the Squeeze because it had the better flow rate, they switched the pricing and reversed it.
Wow.
And so it used to be, and so now that one's frustrating. And now they're getting, I mean, they are getting priced out. I mean, they're $38 now, or maybe even I saw them 42 once. And that Be Free is I think 29 with the water bladder.
I know the Quick Draw now is $35 just for the filter. Wow. I just bought extra one.
And that can do
like people like it
for a lot less.
Yeah. Oh, the water flow of the Quick Draw is just like the Be Free, except I don't have the clogging issues that I had with the Be Free.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
This is not clogged once.
Wow.
Isn't the Squeeze still rated for a lot more though? I thought the Squeeze was rated for a lot more gallons or whatever liters than the Platypus.
Yeah, I would like to see. So the Squeeze I used to love. I carry it everywhere. But it had that O-ring that always falls out, and instead of fixing the O-ring problem, and if the O-ring falls out, it won't seal to your bottle, so you can't get enough pressure to push it through the filter. That thing will fall out on everybody. So I lost one and had to give up a hike because of it, and that's the last time I used it. And then I know they started adding an extra O-ring, but I still don't understand why they that's got to be fixable. I don't know how. I have to imagine they can't glue it. Like maybe the pressure of sealing it would break the glue free or something, but they got to fix that problem for sure.
Yeah. I see. I've had a hike where we had 2 Be Frees actually clog up on us, where we had to boil water for 2 more nights.
Oh, wow.
To get our water. Yeah.
Good gracious.
Yeah. But this right here is interesting. Did a little look at it before, and
500
Bear Vault, number 1, Barricade number 2. But I'm just so surprised that my favorite bear caster is never in there at all.
Which one's that?
The lighter one. The lighter one.
Right.
Yeah. The lighter one series is.
And they also.
It's never in any of these.
I think Bear Vault released at least one smaller one too, but it's not surprising because they probably need a little bit longer carries if they're going.
Yeah, I think so these are something certainly PCT hikers are notorious for hating, because you have to carry them through the Sierra, and so they, but I do think that that Bear Vault, it's just such a different, it's a difference maker in the just the fact that they are clear and you can see your snacks inside. And I don't think I think the Barricade is an interesting one. I know a lot of folks carry it. But I don't see necessarily the price difference, right? Because they're $3.59. And I think they're not that much lighter. So what's the weight difference? You're saving 8 ounces, right?
Yeah.
And so you're spending $260, $270 to save 8 ounces. That's a lot of money that you could spend just doing something like an extra resupply. So you don't have to carry the weight. You can break down the average. That's just a lot of cash, man.
Yeah. And like the old standard, the original Garcia.
Yeah.
43 ounces, $84.
Yeah, that one is I'm wondering if the reason that one made the list is because that's what they rent out at
yes.
When you get to the Inner Sierra agency, that's the one they give out. And they're I think they're made of the thing that bowling balls are made of, maybe, or something like that. But a bear's not getting your food there.
Never.
No. But they have a smaller mouth, so they're harder to see in, and then and they're opaque on the outside, so you can't see what's at the
I
bottom.
do love that polycarbonate where you can see in, and just helps so much just to find out what you want to get in there. And
I do like too I'm sure it works with other ones, but with that one, I like using it as a lumbar support. So putting my ground pad on the ground, and then when I sit down, or my butt pad, I use that as my back lumbar for a longer break when I'm having lunch or something. It's great.
Nice.
And all these people use as a chair as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's one other one I wanted to share before we finish off.
All right, last one. Make it a good one.
Yeah. Right here.
Oh yeah, satellite devices. That's a good one.
Now, I would be curious. This one, I've used the Zoleo, and I really like that one because it sort of interfaces with your phone, and you get messages out real good on that one. Where I think I've seen people tinkering with I don't know how the Garmin works necessarily, but I've seen people really struggle with them at different times. Or maybe they're like hacking into the mainframe or something, and I'm just slow with my tech, and I don't know what they're doing.
I think it's pretty solid. It's just the interface is not always the easiest. I mean, just because of the amount of options that you have on some of them, like the Mini Hero number 1, like it can almost do like too much, and there's a lot that you don't really need on it. So that's why they had the Inreese what is it, the Messenger at number 4 there. A lot more simplistic design, right? It doesn't really have like a screen, and I don't think you can message and go through and type anything out on that. Because probably they were probably getting that feedback of just like, like how much are you actually using based off of what's available? Because a lot of people probably aren't navigating with it, even though you can load up GPX files to it. So I'm a little surprised the Apple Watch isn't on here, or the Bivy stick too. Like,
the Bivy. Yeah. Thank you for bringing me out though to Utah, Bivy. Appreciate it.
This one's not. I mean, this one's not not a lot of movement in sort of the ratings, right? No big leaps or falls.
Yeah.
I thought for sure the Zoleo, according to what I've seen, I've never used one, but people that use them really love them, and I'm surprised it isn't up higher.
Yeah,
supposedly the interface is easier, but I think that interface for Garmin was fixed in the Mini too, because now you use Garmin Connect, I think, instead of the EarthMate app.
Well, so the thing that's nice with the Zoleo is that it's all done through an app. So once you turn it on, you turn on your phone, and you can type full on text messages, like regular text messages, and send them through. You get your location, you get the weather all through the app. But you can also, what's nice is to save battery, you can have it check for new text messages every like 12 minutes, 24 minutes, whatever. So it doesn't like your phone will just pull in a text when it gets sent, right? But this is pulling down satellite stuff. So you set this interval, but it's nice because if you're expecting you need to you're meeting a ride and you're not sure when the text is going to come through, you can have it every 6 minutes. Or if you're just like hiking and you want to hear from home, you can set it so that you can check it yourself. So it doesn't do any of it on your, it doesn't waste any of your battery. It's pretty nice. I think maybe it's low because it is a little bit heavy compared to the others.
Yeah, there's a couple things. It's probably, it is a little bit heavier, but it's also the pricing plans. I think Garmin has them edged out, and is a little bit cheaper. Maybe not for activation, but definitely for like the monthly rate on that. And I'm also not surprised. They kind of deserve the spot where they're in. Maybe a little bit higher. I don't think Garmin necessarily needs like top 4, but it's what it can do too, right? Like, so the Zoleo you mentioned is great with the phone, but what happens if your phone isn't near you? Like, you could still send the SOS and everything, but to get that like constant feedback back and forth, I think Garmin is a little bit better for that. Plus, they also have the watch series, so you can connect your watch if you have a watch with your satellite. So even if you don't have the satellite device or your phone, you can still send the SOS from your watch as well. So a little bit more versatility there.
Yeah. And I know one thing a lot of people talked about with the Zoleo, like having a dedicated number, but my Garmin inReach numbers never changed since I've had the device for 4 years now, and it's never changed. So, and that's where you send a message out on the Garmin, it comes in as a text message back, and then I can respond via text right there. And I've never had an issue with that on the inReach Mini.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Cool. All right. Seems like a pretty good roundup. I think we hit most of the categories there. For our first ever roundtable of what actual PCTers go out and use. So that's our thoughts. Those are our roundups. I don't have any of the stuff on screen here at the end, but I'll throw it in the description box for all these guys' socials. Definitely check them out. Show them some love. If this was a premiere, thanks for joining the chat. If not, or otherwise, just hit us up in the comments down below if you have any other questions on anything that we talked about tonight. This was fun, guys. Thanks for joining this one and for breaking this one down. All right, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.